You believed Christmas would be a moment of warmth, the night your parents would finally look at you with pride after all the years you spent building your career. Yet beneath the golden glow of the chandelier, before a room filled with powerful guests, your mother smiled brightly as she introduced your sister as the family's pride. And you, the one who built $1 million company, were dismissed as the one who knows her way around the kitchen. Your chest tightened as sympathetic glances mixed with hushed whispers. But what you didn't know was that this was only the beginning of the cold schemes that would turn your world upside down. If you love true family drama stories, a gentle like and subscribe will keep you with us for the next chapter. You sit in silence after that Christmas humiliation, but memories begin to flood back, memorious of where it all began. To understand why this moment cuts so deeply, you need to step back into the path you've walked for 15 long years. From the outside, people always thought you had the perfect family. A stately home in Connecticut, dinners that looked like magazine spreads, and parents who seemed to hold all the right connections. But beneath that glossy picture, there was a hidden hierarchy. Your sister Melissa was the crown jewel, the one who always followed the path your parents drew out so carefully: prestigious schools, polished internships, glowing praise. And you were the daughter who strayed. At 18, when your classmates prepared Ivy League applications, you chose culinary school. You still remember the silence that filled the dining room the night you announced it. Forks clinked against plates, your father's expression clouded, and your mother's voice trembled with disappointment. "Christine, you have a potential for Yale. Why waste it?" Close quote. Those words burned into you, even as you held on to your dream. That first Christmas after your decision, you stood in the family kitchen, desperately trying to prove your worth with roasted meats and carefully plated desserts. Guests admired the food, but your parents only sighed. Melissa unwrapped diamond earrings and a new cashmere coat, while you carried trays of cranberry sauce. You thought it was temporary. You thought, with time, they would see your vision. Yet years rolled forward, and the pattern never changed. Every family gathering was the same stage play. Melissa celebrated at the table, you hidden in the background, carrying plates and forced smiles. But outside those walls, something extraordinary was happening. With every rejection at home, you built something of your own. Our events began in a cramped apartment, just you, a laptop, and the determination to prove yourself. At first, it was small. Birthday parties, community fundraisers, simple gatherings where you poured your creativity into every detail. Clients noticed. Word spread. And step by step, you transformed from an underestimated daughter into the CEO of one of the fastest growing event companies on the East Coast. Still, the irony cut deep. Presidents of corporations respected you. Celebrities trusted you with their weddings. Governors handed you $1 million fundraisers. And yet, in your parents' eyes, you were still the daughter who's handy in the kitchen. Can you imagine that? To sit across from billionaires who compliment your strategy, only to return home and hear your own mother joke that you follow instructions well. It was as if your success was invisible to the very people you once longed to impress. What makes it harder is that part of you never stopped seeking their approval. You told yourself, if I land this next client, they'll see me differently. If I sign this contract, they'll finally recognize me. But the recognition never came. Each victory was swallowed by silence, or worse, a dismissive laugh. Do you know that hollow ache, when your greatest achievements are met with indifference by those who should be your loudest supporters? It lingers like a shadow, reminding you that sometimes the people you expect to celebrate you are the ones who hold you down. And yet, you carried on. 15 years passed, filled with relentless work, sleepless nights, contracts won through grit and brilliance. The company you built from nothing became a multi-million-dollar empire. Still, every holiday gathering felt like deja vu. Melissa glowing in the spotlight, you stuck in the kitchen, bearing the weight of unspoken comparisons. The truth is, you were never competing with her. You were competing with the image your parents clung to. The idea that only Melissa could represent the family, only Melissa could shine. In their eyes, your success threatened that narrative. So they minimized you. Again and again. And you, tired, bruised, but unbroken, chose to believe it was ignorance. You convinced yourself that your parents didn't understand event planning, that they couldn't see its value. You told yourself they simply lived in a different world. But deep down, a part of you wondered, was it really ignorance, or was it something darker? This is the painful truth so many carry, the feeling of being the shadow child, the one whose worth is measured only by what others lack. Have you ever felt that way? Like no matter how far you climb, the people closest to you still see you as the same child in their kitchen, not the person you've become. That is why the sting of this Christmas ran deeper than ever. Because you weren't just dismissed, you were dismissed in front of the powerful allies you've worked your whole life to earn. And in that moment, a quiet realization settled in your chest. Maybe this wasn't ignorance. Maybe it was deliberate. But that's a revelation you'll face soon. For now, you remember the journey, the countless times you held your breath and smiled while your parents celebrated your sister's minor achievements louder than your own milestones. You remember the contracts that slipped away at the strangest times, the clients who backed out after brief conversations with someone close to the family. You didn't see the pattern then, but looking back now, it all fits too neatly. This is your story. 15 years of brilliance, overshadowed by a family that refused to see. 15 years of carving out respect in boardrooms while being reduced to kitchen help at home. 15 years of carrying not only the weight of your company, but the unspoken ache of wanting your parents to look at you the way they looked at her. And perhaps, deep down, you already knew. Families don't always celebrate success. Sometimes, they compete with it. Sometimes, they fear it. And sometimes, as you will soon discover, they even work to destroy it. But before a storm comes, before the shocking revelation that will turn everything upside down, this is where you stand. The underestimated daughter who built an empire in the shadows. You believed it was finally time to step into the light. You thought recognition was just one holiday dinner away. You couldn't have known that the people sitting across from you at that table had already been laying the traps that would threaten everything you'd built. And as you take a deep breath, replaying the years that led you here, you realize something chilling. Maybe the greatest battle of your life won't be with competitors in the marketplace. It will be with the very people who share your last name. So listen closely, because what lies ahead is not just a business fight. It's a family war. And if stories like this grip your heart, remember, staying with us means you'll never miss the next revelation. A quiet tap on like, a gentle subscribe, and you'll always be part of this journey into the most unforgettable family drama stories. The memory of that Christmas humiliation lingers like a bruise, but soon it becomes more than a memory, it becomes a key that unlocks the truth. For years you excused their silence, told yourself they simply didn't understand what you did. But the weeks after that didn't change everything. It begins innocently. You return to their estate a few days later, only to retrieve a forgotten portfolio from your father's study. Elizabeth, your closest ally, assures you they'll be at a board meeting, so you be in and out quickly. But fate has a cruel way of revealing what's been hidden. As you step into the marble-floored country club, the sound of familiar voices halts you mid-step. Melissa's laughter bright, polished, the sound of someone who has always been adored. And then, your mother's voice, lowered but unmistakable. Christine has no idea we know about the Horizon deal. The words freeze you. Horizon Resorts, your biggest contract yet, 18 months of careful negotiation, the deal that would elevate our events onto the national stage. You press against the wall, listening, your heart pounding so hard it seems the entire building might hear. Your sister's voice follows, sharper, practiced in the art of control. I've been calling her vendors for months, dropping hints about financial instability. Most believed me, especially after I mentioned my ER expertise. A rush of coal spreads through you. The missed contracts, the sudden vendor hesitations, the inspectors who appeared without warning. It wasn't coincidence. It was sabotage. And not from strangers, but from your own blood. Your father speaks next, his tone grudgingly respectful. She's surprisingly good at business. But good enough to embarrass us if she keeps succeeding. Embarrass. That single word slices deeper than all the dismissive smiles and cold silences. Your success wasn't something to be proud of. To them, it was a threat. Then comes the final blow, your mother's voice, dripping with disdain. Christine still craves our approval too much to see what's right in front of her. She thinks we don't understand her business. But the truth is, we know exactly what she's doing. And we'll make sure it never outshines Melissa. In that instant, the ground beneath you shifts. 15 years of half-formed suspicions click into place. They weren't blind to your achievements. They were deliberate in tearing them down. Can you imagine that moment? To realize that the very people who should have celebrated you were orchestrating your downfall. It is a betrayal that doesn't just wound your career, it carves into your soul. You slip away before they can see you, the polished marble now feeling like ice under your feet. By the time you reach your office, Elizabeth and James, your CFO, are waiting. You tell them everything. And instead of surprise, you see quiet confirmation in their eyes. Elizabeth opens a folder labeled Family Incidents. Inside are patterns she's tracked for months. Sudden client withdrawals after family gatherings, anonymous complaints to inspectors, unexplained vendor hesitations. James adds spreadsheets showing the numbers, every financial dip perfectly aligned with family events. The evidence is undeniable. You've been at war without knowing it. But here is the turning point. You are no longer the daughter begging for approval. You are the CEO of a company that has survived sabotage, setbacks, and silent wars. And now, armed with the truth, you begin to plan. The betrayal festers into resolve. You confront Melissa in a public restaurant, sliding across the table the inspector's report with her name linked to the call. She denies, then wavers, her polished mask cracking. When your mother arrives, elegant and unflinching, you lay down every piece of evidence. In front of watchful diners, they can't twist the narrative. For once, you control the story. But even as you walk away, you know this battle is only the beginning. Because Horizon is still ahead, and your family won't give up easily. And this is the haunting part of betrayal. It doesn't always come with raised voices or slammed doors. Sometimes it arrives with practiced smiles, quiet phone calls, and whispered doubts planted in the right ears. Sometimes the dagger slides in so smoothly you don't notice until you are already bleeding. Think about it. Have you ever wondered if the setbacks in your life were not accidents at all, but the result of someone quietly working against you? Someone close enough to know exactly where to strike. That's the chilling power of betrayal. It is precise, personal, and devastating. But betrayal also does something else. It strips away illusions. It forces you to see the truth with painful clarity. And once you've seen, you cannot unsee. For 15 years you told yourself their dismissal was ignorance. Now you know it was strategy. They weren't blind to your victories. They feared them. And that fear drove them to sabotage the very blood that shared their name. And so, as you prepare for the Horizon battle, you shift. No longer the daughter serving turkey under chandeliers. No longer the shadow of Melissa's spotlight. You become something sharper, steadier, the strategist who has built an empire from the ground up and who now understands that the greatest threat was never outside competitors. It was the war at your own dining table. This is the betrayal that defines the chapters ahead. And it leaves you with a choice. To crumble under the weight of their schemes, or to turn their treachery into the very fire that propels you forward. Because betrayal, as painful as it is, can be the birthplace of resilience. And in your story, resilience is the weapon they never expected you to wield. So you steady yourself. You gather your allies. You prepare not just for contracts, but for battle. And deep in your heart, a single vow takes root. Never again will you allow their shadows to define your light. And as you lean into that vow, remember you're not alone in this journey. Many know the sting of betrayal, the shock of discovering that trust was misplaced. If you've ever felt that, then this story is for you. Stay close, because the next chapter will show you what it truly means to fight back. And if you want to walk every step of this fight, from betrayal to triumph, consider joining this journey fully. A simple like, a quiet subscribe is your way of saying you are ready to uncover every twist in the drama stories ahead. You know now that your family's betrayal is deliberate. The evidence sits heavy in your hands. Inspector reports, client complaints, vendor hesitations, all woven together like a tapestry of sabotage. But knowing and confronting them in a restaurant is only the beginning. The real battle lies ahead, and you can feel it coming. The Horizon resorts contract 18 months of careful strategy, late nights, endless negotiations represents everything you've worked for. And your family knows it. If they can destroy Horizon, they can destroy Aurora. That knowledge sharpens every moment into a blade. In the weeks that follow, your office becomes a war room. Then Elizabeth appears at your door, tablet in hand, her face tight. Christine, Melissa reached out to Horizon's advisory board. She questioned your decision-making abilities. The betrayal escalates into a coordinated assault. Your sister calls vendors, posing as your accountant. Your mother whispers doubts into the ears of board members' wives. Your father leverages his old business contacts to plant financial unease. And standing beside them is Victoria Foster, the PR consultant with a grudge, spinning partial truths into persuasive poison. You realize they've orchestrated a full-scale attack, not just against your contract, but against your name. That night, your office glows with lamplight long after the city outside has gone quiet. Elizabeth, James, and you spread documents across the mahogany table, building your defense line by line. Vendor payment histories, client testimonials, third-party audits, every weapon of transparency you can muster. The weight of it is crushing, but you know one thing with certainty. You've survived too much to let them win now. By dawn, you are ready. Or at least as ready as anyone can be before walking into a battlefield disguised as a boardroom. The next morning, Horizon's headquarters gleam like polished steel, towering above the city. You walk through its glass doors with Elizabeth at your side, James behind you, each of you carrying not just portfolios, but the gravity of 15 years. Inside the boardroom, 20 executives sit in a semicircle, their faces a mixture of curiosity and concern. At the far end of the table sits Gregory Townsend, Horizon's CEO, his expression unreadable. And there, across the polished wood, are your family. Melissa, her posture immaculate, her smile controlled. Your mother, regal in burgundy, her eyes sharp with the satisfaction of someone who believes she has already won. Your father, avoiding your gaze, pretending to study his hands. And standing beside them, Victoria Foster, ready to deliver the blow. Townsend gestures for you to sit. Miss Hale, thank you for joining us on such short notice. We have some concerns to discuss before proceeding with this contract. Victoria steps forward, her voice smooth, professional, convincing. She projects slides showing selective numbers, graphs angled downward, fabricated patterns of instability. As you can see, Aurora's client retention has wavered. Concerns about management have been raised. Several vendors have privately shared doubts. Then your mother speaks, her tone honeyed with false concern. We only want what's best for everyone involved. If Aurora is unstable, it could harm Horizon's reputation as well. You feel the fury rise, but this time you don't tremble. You've prepared for this moment. When Victoria pauses, you place a leather portfolio on the table and speak with calm conviction. Before we continue, I'd like to provide Horizon with full transparency. James distributes folders to each executive. Certified financial statements, 5 years of clean audits, detailed vendor payment histories. He speaks with the authority of decades in finance. Aurora's client retention rate is 87%, far above the industry average. Every claim of instability here is deliberately misleading. Elizabeth takes the screen, projecting a timeline of interference. Each complaint, each sudden withdrawal, each vendor hesitation, meticulously documented. As coup for 10 years, I've witnessed a clear pattern. Every major contract negotiation has been preceded by interference traced back to these individuals. You slide another folder toward Townsend. Inside, transcripts, inspector reports, call records. This is not professional concern. It is personal sabotage. The room falls silent. Executives study the evidence, their eyes shifting from you to Melissa, to your mother, to the woman they brought in to discredit you. Your sister's composure cracks. Her hands tighten around her glass, her knuckles pale. This is preposterous, close quote, she hisses. But then an executive speaks up. Sarah Winters, Horizon's VP of Operations. I received a call last week from someone claiming to be concerned about Aurora. The caller identified herself as Melissa Hale. She never disclosed her relation to Christine. A murmur ripples across the table. Townsend's eyes narrow. He turns to Victoria. Were you aware of the family connection when you presented this analysis? Close quote. For the first time, Victoria falters. I was approached as a consultant, but Townsend cuts her off. This is not consultancy. This is interference. His voice hardens as he addresses your family. Any further attempts to undermine Horizon's partnerships will result in legal action. Your mother rises, her mask slipping. We were only trying to protect the family's reputation. You meet her eyes, steady and unflinching. For 15 years, I've built Aurora with integrity and excellence. The only reputation damaged today is your own. The weight of your words hangs in the air. Your father shifts uncomfortably, Melissa looks away, and Victoria gathers her papers in silence. Townsend clears his throat. Miss Hale, the board will deliberate, but I believe we've seen enough. Please wait outside. The 30 minutes in the waiting area stretch like hours. Elizabeth squeezes your hand. James nods with quiet pride. Whatever happens, you know this much. You've exposed the truth. When you're called back in, your family is gone. Townsend stands at the head of the table. After reviewing the evidence, Horizon Resorts has unanimously decided to award the contract to Aurora Events. Furthermore, we would like to expand our partnership globally. Integrity matters, and today you've proven yours beyond doubt. Relief floods through you, so profound you nearly lose your breath. 15 years of struggle, dismissal, sabotage, and in one pivotal moment, you are recognized not as the daughter in the kitchen, but as the CEO you've always been. You shake Townsend's hand, the applause of the board echoing in the room. Elizabeth's eyes shine with pride, James' shoulders ease with triumph. Outside, the city bustles on, unaware that within these walls, your life is shifted forever. This is the climax of your story. The showdown where truth met deceit, and integrity triumphed over betrayal. And as you walk out of Horizon's headquarters, contract in hand, you know one thing with certainty: this war is not just about business. It is about reclaiming your dignity. And in that battle, you have finally won. You leave Horizon's headquarters with the contract signed, the ink still fresh, the weight of vindication pressing into your palms. For the first time in years, you breathe deeply, your lungs filling, not with fear of what your family might say, but with the relief of knowing that their grip has loosened. They try to bury you in shadows, but instead, they only sharpened your light. Yet the victory, as sweet as it feels, doesn't erase the scars. In the silence of your office that evening, with the city skyline stretching endlessly beyond the glass, you allow yourself a moment to sit with the enormity of what has happened. 15 years of being dismissed, minimized, and quietly sabotaged, all crystallized into one confrontation, one decision, one contract. You won. But the cost of knowing the truth still lingers like frost on your skin. Elizabeth enters quietly, her expression softer than usual. She knows you well enough not to disturb a moment. James follows, setting a stack of papers on the table, new projections, expanded revenue streams, possibilities that now stretch across continents. Aurora Events is no longer a regional powerhouse. It is a national brand, soon to be international. But as the documents pile up, you realize something profound. This battle was never truly about the numbers, the contracts, or even Horizon. It was about dignity. It was about reclaiming the respect that should have been yours all along, not from your family, but from yourself. Because now, standing at this threshold, you no longer seek their validation. Days turn into weeks, and the industry begins to take notice. Articles call Horizon's decision a turning point. Clients line up, eager to work with the company that stood unshaken in the face of sabotage. Invitations flood in galas, conferences, charity boards. Aurora becomes synonymous with resilience, with integrity, with brilliance under fire. And yet, even amid the applause, a shadow remains. You see your family's names in society columns less frequently now. Their once glittering calendar of luncheons and fundraisers has grown thin. In quiet corners, whispers spread. The Hales tried to destroy their own daughter's company and failed. One evening, at a charity ball in Manhattan, you spot them. Your mother, perfectly dressed but holding herself with less certainty than before. Your father, shoulders slightly stooped, as though the weight of exposure has finally settled on him. Melissa, her practiced smile not quite reaching her eyes. They stand together near the entrance, watching you from a distance as you move through the crowd, greeted by mayors, CEOs, and industry leaders. For a moment, your chest tightens not with longing, but with recognition. They are no longer the giants of your childhood. They are simply people who made choices that revealed who they truly were. And you, at last, have the clarity to see them as they are. Later that night, you deliver a speech as the recipient of an industry award. The spotlight warms your face, and the crystal trophy in your hand glitters like a shard of truth. You speak not of betrayal, but of boundaries. Not of sabotage, but of resilience. You tell the audience that success requires not only talent, but the courage to defend your vision even when those closest to you cannot or will not see it. The room rises in applause, and somewhere near the back, your mother shifts uncomfortably. For once, you feel no ache in your chest. Their silence no longer defines you. Their dismissal no longer holds power. Months pass, and Aurora expands into new cities: Miami, Denver, Los Angeles. Elizabeth becomes more than a partner in operations. She becomes your confidant, the person who understood long before you did that family does not always mean loyalty. James, with his steady wisdom, takes on a stake in the company, finally rewarded for the years he believed in you when few others would. Together, you build not just a business, but a foundation, one that mentors women whose families doubted them, whose dreams were laughed at or ignored. You pour into them what you once needed yourself. Reassurance that their vision matters, that their worth is not measured by comparison to siblings, or by the approval of parents stuck in outdated hierarchies. And as the foundation grows, so does your sense of peace. Because now you understand. Your story was never simply about surviving betrayal. It was about transforming it into something greater, something that could reach beyond your own wounds. But still, there are moments. Quiet ones, often around the holidays, when you remember the girl you once were. The girl arranging rosemary sprigs around a turkey, trembling under the weight of invisible expectations. The girl who thought one more achievement, one more triumph, would finally make them see. You close your eyes and whisper to that younger self. They never had the power to define you. You were enough all along. One December, nearly a year after the Horizon Showdown, your company hosts its annual gala. The ballroom shimmers with lights, the tables adorned with centerpieces you designed yourself. Guests fill the space with laughter and admiration, a chorus of validation that feels both new and deeply earned. Near the end of the evening, you spot them again, your parents and Melissa standing at the edge of the crowd, holding embossed invitations you sent as a courtesy. This time, you approach them. Not with anger, not with yearning, but with the calm of someone who knows exactly who she is. "Thank you for coming," close quote, you say politely. Your mother's voice falters as she replies, "Your speech was impressive." Your father clears his throat, awkward, unsteady. Melissa studies you with something between envy and regret. You nod once, then turn away to greet the mayor. Because tonight is not about them. It never truly was. Tonight is about the life you built, the people who believed, the future you forged from ashes of betrayal. Later, as the gala winds down, Elizabeth hands you the Foundation's annual report. 3 women, once dismissed by their families, now stand proudly at the helm of thriving businesses. Their stories mirror yours, but with one crucial difference: you were there to guide them before their dreams could be crushed. You smile, a genuine smile, one that doesn't ache, one that doesn't carry the shadow of longing. Because now you know. The cycle has been broken. What your family tried to destroy, you transformed into hope for others. And when the snow begins to fall outside, blanketing the city in quiet light, you step into the night with Elizabeth by your side. The streets glisten, the air sharp with winter's breath, and for the first time in your life, Christmas holds no dread. It holds only possibility. Because this is your resolution, not just the triumph of contracts and awards, but the quiet victory of reclaiming your story. You are no longer the daughter introduced as helpful in the kitchen. You are Christine Hale, the woman who turned betrayal into brilliance, the CEO who proved that dignity is not granted by family, but claimed by the self who dares to stand tall. And that truth, more than any applause or trophy, is what carries you forward. As the final guests drift away and the ballroom grows quiet, you stand beneath the fading glow of chandeliers, reflecting on everything this journey has demanded of you. Once, you believed recognition from your family would complete you. Now you understand the truth. Respect built on resilience and integrity is far more powerful than approval begrudgingly given. The scars of betrayal remain, but they no longer define you, they remind you of how far you've come. You see yourself clearly at last, not as